All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Snap Material Podcast. We are returning for November with an extra special episode. That's right, we're celebrating our first year of playing this game. So when I was looking at it earlier today to come up with the rankings, the first one that they had listed on Snap Zone was June. And it was something called like Beach Blast or something. And like the featured card was Wave. And I was like, oh, okay.
Not familiar with that reality.
Me either. October was the first time they had started putting locations out there. The game had been around for a little bit, I guess, in beta. And then I assume the official release was in October. So they celebrated their year anniversary in October. But yes, Evan and I didn't really start playing this game until November of last year. So we're going to celebrate our year anniversary of playing Marvel Snap tonight. The episode's not going to go too off the rails here.
More so than usual.
Yeah, right. We're still going to do our same old review and preview of the upcoming season, review of the past season, talk about our unlocks, talk about our trends that we saw last month. We're also going to have our top 5 like we normally do, but we're also going to rank all of I think I counted 13 because I'm going from October to October. Total of 13 seasons of Snap that we had the opportunity to play. And the way that we're going to do that is we are going to, Evan ranked them, I ranked them separately. We're going to average those rankings together to come up with the official Snap Material season ranking for the last year. All right, well, let's go ahead. We'll talk about last month, October of 2023. This past season started October 2nd, 2023, which was Bloodstone. And we obviously gave our thoughts on what we thought was going to happen in this season. So let's talk about Elsa Bloodstone first. We'll get into these cards. 2 cost, 2 power card. If you play another card to fill a location, give it +3 power. And then, it looks like
that's how it started.
Right, and it said change to +2 before the season was over. Boy, did that create. There was a lot of discussion about nerfing cards after they're released this past season.
Didn't bother me that much.
Yeah, I mean,
she's still useful. I haven't taken her out of any decks. They didn't Spider-Ham or Mobius her.
You ended up paying this season, didn't you?
I did because I had answered enough Google surveys. It cost me 32 cents. So yeah, I had Elsa from the get-go, although I didn't pull the trigger on the Dan Hip variant.
Oh, well, that's all right.
And then there was another really cool variant, but I was like, do I want to spend 700 gold for one that's just like, I like the art a little better, and she's crouching instead of standing and pointing 2 guns, so didn't do that.
Yeah, my note last month was Kitty Pryde, and yeah, I did see a lot of this.
Oh yeah,
Elsa Bloodstone and Kitty Pryde paired together so well. Nightcrawler was involved a lot of times. It was any location. Yeah, if she was out there and in a different location, but you had 3 in 1 and you put 1 on top, she was giving her bonus to make it 4.
Basically, she works in just about any deck unless I finally gave up on making Stealth Destroy happen. Now, I'll try it again sometime, but unless there's a reason you're not trying to fill up a location, she's in the mix when you're thinking about building your deck, unless there's just too many other specialties you need in there. But as a general card, hard to think of a reason not to put her in.
A lot of people agreed. They had her in there. What'd you see? Anything?
Mostly, some bounce decks, Kitty Pryde, like you said, anything where not only could you fill up a location, but you could fill it up twice. So she made it into I talked about it last time, and it's still hung on for me when nothing else was doing well. My Living Iron slot deck, she's made it onto there, because for a while I was running Warpath in there, so I'm likely to fill up 2 locations. So, and then she just gives you some extra points, since eventually hopefully you're going to spread your points out through all of them anyway. Nothing hurts you from, filling up 2 instead of 3.
Right.
And get you, let's see. So that would add at least 4 points. So that gets you an extra point across each location. So that's where I used her a lot. But I mean, she worked her way into almost everything. Like I said, unless there was a specific need for that slot to go somewhere else, why not have a shot at getting a couple extra points?
Yeah. Okay.
I did work her into my my deck with Dazzler and Patriot and Ultron. since you're trying to fill all those up anyway.
Right.
Although you end up filling it up with Ultron, so you're probably only going to get her bonus once or twice. But again, why not have her when your goal is to fill up all those locations?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it's going to provide you with a little bit of a bonus to have all those locations filled, she's good for that deck for sure. All right, up next is Man Thing. 4 cost, 5 power, ongoing 1, 2, and 3 cost cards here have -2, -2 power. So my original note last month was Kazar's Nemesis, but I also put in Luke Cage's pal.
Oh, yeah.
I initially tried a deck with Lady Deathstrike in it. The goal was to be like, okay, I could get all those other cards down, by -2, and they're going to be less than Lady Deathstrike and just wipe that lane clean. For some reason, I was having a problem getting it to work as well as I wanted it to, and I think that's probably on me because there's just a better way I probably could have built that deck. A lot of times I'd find myself on turn 5 wanting to play something else other than Lady Deathstrike, but Man Thing was a pickup for me. I think I'll mention that here when we talk about our unlocks and stuff. I couldn't pass up like wiping out a lot of those lower cost, or I should say lower powered cards. I mean, it wipes out so many of them too when you're looking at like anything that has a 2 power will not have any effect on that lane.
Yeah.
So how about you?
I saw him quite a bit. I mean, he was unpleasant when he showed up. I didn't, see him. I didn't see people overdoing it with him or anything. I did not get him. I took one shot at the Spotlight Cache and got Silver Samurai. I had my eye on Black Knight and Nico, so I didn't try more than that one.
I gotcha.
But I saw he was 3,000 tokens, and then they put him in the shop a little earlier before the season was over. So I did pick him up just with tokens. I think with like a week or so left in the season.
Oh,
so
nice.
I have used him a few times. I didn't use my original suggestion of Zabu and Goose. I've tried a few different iterations of a deck with a lot of ongoings, and then you drop Spectrum in at the end to boost them up.
Right.
So I usually refer to that as my Saga deck and use the card back that says Marvel, so Marvel Saga, because the Saga is an ongoing story. Mm-hmm. Jesse, if I was half as good at strategy as I was at coming up with names of things,
infinite every season.
Yep, but I'm not. And so, Man Thing's been fun to use. And you gotta, I don't know if I realized when I first saw him that he affected your cards too, which kind of makes sense because he is just a, shambling massive swamp muck that sets things on fire
right
when they're afraid of him. So that does make sense. But me, Luke Cage is in almost every deck anyway. So
yeah.
Only thing is I know when I draw him, if I don't have Cage out there, I'm not too eager to throw Man Thing out there.
All right, next up, Black Knight, 1 cost, 2 power. After you discard a card, add the Ebony Blade to your hand with that card's power once per game. Ebony Blade is a 4/0, 4 cost, 0, but of course, like it says, it gets that card's power. So yeah, I put the Return of Discard last month, and I mean that was, I assume, Silver Samurai might have had a hand in it too, but I feel like I saw a lot of discard decks. And it's one of two things. It's either because Black Knight kind of pushed the metagame towards discard, or it was me playing a lot of discard and the algorithm caught up. Any experience with Black Knight over the season?
Just a little bit. I would see him a few times, but didn't really impact things much for me. I would like to get him and try him in my discard deck. Actually, I have I mentioned it before, my MODOK and Strong Guy deck, because I'm determined to make Strong Guy work. And the developers actually would like to see that too, judging by the latest updates. Mm-hmm. So I would like to get him in there, but I feel like I saw Black Knight more than I saw the Ebony Blade. Mm-hmm. So I feel like people were trying to use it, but it didn't quite land. Of course, I didn't play as many discard decks, so perhaps that's why I didn't see him as much. Seems like an interesting card, but I didn't notice a whole lot from him.
Okay. All right. Our 4th card for the season, Nico Manuro, 1 cost, 2 power card. On reveal, after you play your next card, cast a spell. The spell changes each turn. I remember last month us having like discussion as to how many. I think is there 7? There's 7 different spells, and we were trying to figure out how each one would work.
And it's kind of a random order, so The one thing you know for sure about Nico is that whatever her spell is this turn, it won't be the same next turn.
Exactly.
Which then makes it confusing as to why I play Nico, and I'm like, wait, why didn't she? I'm like, oh, this will work next turn. Don't know how many times I've done that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that we both ended up with Nico and both had the opportunity to play, right?
Mm-hmm. She and one of her mates in the Spotlight cache made me try a whole different type of deck that I thought was really unique and brilliant on my part right until about the third game I played with it when someone used the same one.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that. Oh, wow.
Like, I don't even know if this is a good idea, but Nico can move things and destroy things. And you know what card works well with moving and destroying? Phoenix Force. Which is the other one I got. I opened 2 Spotlight caches. I got Phoenix Force. I got Nico. So I'm like, I am going to throw these things in with my fancy new Human Torch variant that we all got after people voted on it. I'm just going to see what I can do with this. And it was a fun deck. I don't know how well it worked, but like, I mean, I saw like 3 different decks with it. I'm like, wait a minute. So, you know, what I find out is that I'm not a total idiot with building these decks, but I'm like a week behind everybody else.
That's a possibility.
No one's tried Stealth Destroy, though. Nobody.
Nobody
There's
knows.
Reason for it too. That was fun to try and mess around with different move cards to resurrect with. I mean, you know, you always heard Multiple Man, and then I'm like, why don't people talk about the Torch more? Well, because Killmonger takes him out pretty easily, and then Vulture.
Oh yeah.
Vulture and Phoenix, that can work pretty well. So that was fun when it hit. It was just weird because I was like, this is kind of strange, and then it's like, no, everybody else thought of it too.
And my note here is that she's extremely, extremely versatile. I have her in my move deck that I'll be talking about here in a few, but there's been plenty of times where I needed to change location, and she's there, and I'm like, okay, sweet. I could use this to my advantage. You know, the whole demon thing is kind of nice where your on reveal stays the same, but if you have a low cost card or a low power card, you can turn that into a 1/6 demon, and the on reveal of that card still remains after it gets played or once it gets played. So what I have found is a really neat kind of tag team with her and Forge. Like, I've used her first and changed Forge into a demon. Forge gets laid down there and does the +2 power thing. She also does the double power thing, which I've kind of done the inverse of what I just said. I'll lay down Forge, and then I'll lay down Nico the next turn.
Yeah.
She turns into a 4, and then she might use her double power ability after I lay down the next card, and she becomes a 1/8 all of a sudden.
Yeah. So I got that to work once or twice. I don't know if it was with Forge or something else that boosted her up, but
so she's very handy when it comes to that. I'm trying to think of what I don't use the move ability very much with her. I mean, it's there, but you know, Iron Fist, I think, moves you to the left. She can move you to the right. So she's kind of good to get if Sanctum Sanctorum pops up. Get somebody in there. All right, well then up next is Werewolf by Night. 3 cost, 3 power. After you play an on reveal card at another location, move there and gain +2 power. Yeah, I'm really glad that I picked this card up because it shoved me into I wasn't ever using move decks before, so this kind of helped shove me into that and actually come up with something good. I do have a fear that Werewolf by Night will get nerfed.
Oh, I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, you look at what they did to Kitty Pryde and Angela.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. I mean, and he can still be useful as a +1, but yeah, enjoy that +2 while you can.
Right. How about you? What was your experience?
Yeah, I got him in I had one more Spotlight cache when it came onto him, and gave it a shot and got him straight away. So my only thing is not gameplay wise, but I said last month when we were talking about him, okay, this is the new version of Werewolf by Night. Make Jack Russell his own card, and then they came out with that awesome looking variant that's Jack Russell.
All right. Yeah.
So, c'est la vie. But I found him useful. I popped him into my Silver Surfer deck, where I hope to see him alongside a card we'll be talking about with the upcoming season in the future. But anytime I get a 3 cost card, I'm like, oh hey, you can go hang out with
the server. Yeah, I think I tried that before I moved on to my full move deck. I tried your Silver Surfer suggestion, and I wasn't displeased in any way. Let's talk about our locations. We've got 3 locations that dropped the Abbey, which was the first to put exactly 2 cards here, draws a card. And yes, we found out that it is just the first person to get to 2 exactly. If both of them are there at 2 exactly, I think both draw a card. And again, it doesn't have to be on one turn. It just has to be whenever.
Yeah.
I mean, my notes here were like one card feels kind of meh. Wasn't as impactful as some other locations, but they all don't need to be gold mines or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes up, I usually try to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Especially in a deck that, counts on certain cards. You just want to get as many as you can. I mean, there's not usually a downside, and if for some reason you do need to fill up another location like the raft or the white hot room, you're not out much if you don't activate the Abbey. But
right.
Well, as fails, you may as well get another card in there. Especially if the time theater pops up and messes with you. I know we talked about last time that was kind of meh, but I had a few times that it came up and I'm like, I really could have used another card, not that one again.
Right. I mean, we'll briefly mention Fogwell's Gym, which is not a brand new location. It had been around before, but both players get double boosters this game. And yes, I absolutely did go with Agatha the whole time that was out there. And
Agatha all along, huh?
Dude, I remember like watching the boosters that she would just consume and how many boosters she got during that whole time that I was playing. All right, Hotel Inferno. Yeah, this was a situation where if you played your card there that turn, you destroyed the top of the opponent's deck. It could be something that could change the game for somebody. If they've got enough cards, you can play it on. If you've got enough cards, you can play it on that location, potentially hurt the other person pretty hard. And I did that. I had the forethought to get ready and record because I knew I just wanted to capture it on film what I did to this guy, where we had Elysium out there and we had Superflow. So your costs for your cards are reduced by 1 with Elysium, and then the Superflow adds an extra energy each turn, and I was getting the extra energy. So turn 3, out comes Hotel Inferno. I have in my hand Cable, and this was all I did during that time that the location was there, was use cards to destroy that person's deck or take advantage of it somehow. So I had Cable in my hand, the Watcher, because this is one of those few times I had the Watcher in my deck because I was actually so into like throwing wrenches into people's stuff. If turn 2 location popped, no Hotel Inferno didn't pop up by turn 2, I was retreating. I was out because turn 3 I knew if that last location was going to be Hotel Inferno or not. Mm-hmm. So I had the Watcher in there. I also had Kitty Pryde and Dazzler. So if you're keeping count, I think Cable is a 3/4. Yeah. So you drop him down to 2. Watcher's a 0 because he is a 1. He gets reduced to 0. Kitty Pryde was a 1 reduced to 0. So right now, so far, I'm only using 2 energy, and then Dazzler, which I think must have been 1 energy. Might have been another 2.
3, so she would have dropped to a 2.
Dropped to a 2, which I had 4. So I laid all 4 of my cards out there on Hotel Inferno. I suck 1 in with Cable. Uh-huh. All right, I bring that over to my hand and then burn one of his. Watcher burns one of his. Kitty Pryde burns one of his. And he doesn't even let Dazzler land. He retreats because he knows he's getting ready to get 5 cards just taken out of his deck like that. And I think I counted it up today. So he would have after all that, he would have had 1 card left in his deck to draw from.
I had a similar experience. I had Hotel Inferno and the cloning vats. So I played Yondu and Cable twice, and I played Wasp and Yellow Jacket on Hotel.
Oh my gosh!
I had that whole deck I listed out last time. Like I already know the Hotel Inferno deck. Well, it doesn't really do anything when it's only on 1 turn. So I basically just I forget what deck I went with, but I just tossed Wasp and Yellow Jacket in there so I could get as many as I could on there. I had it by turn 5. His deck was empty.
That's great.
I made a deck of my own just based on that concept.
Oh, really?
Yondu, Mantis, Cable, and then Wong, Black Bolt.
Nice. Nice.
And Gambit, and then I have Swarm and Apocalypse in there because, you and I both used to just love wiping things out with Gambit, but now they understandably limited it so he actually has to have a card to throw. So with Swarm and Apocalypse, he's never going to run out of cards. So if you can get Wong on Camartage or Onslaught Citadel or something like that, you can still do one of those good old-fashioned Gambit massacres because you'll always have cards to throw.
That's right. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.